Dear Mother, life outside of Rowan is anything but simple. As we were settling down for the night, looking forward to a restful night's sleep after the battle at the Void Rift, we were pulled by the choir of the crags into a proving ground of sorts for Seredan. It was an actual nightmare. We were forced to watch Seri contend with a series of tests contrived by the choir. She was nothing if not incredible as she bested each of the choir's trials. They have a fine champion in Seri. Upon completing the gauntlet, we learned the name of the one responsible for the cracking in the sky, Aventhi. Can you believe that, Mother? That terrible purple fracture in the heavens was caused by a man, a living, breathing person, a person with extremely dangerous power. He is as evil as they come, and though we only met an avatar of the actual Aventhi, there was darkness radiating from his personage so intense, I felt filled with despair in his presence. As Seri said in her letter to you, can you see now why she's my best friend? Aventhi was chosen by the choir to restore the balance between good and evil. However, when given the power by the choir to bring peace to Aneria, he grew hungry for more. He is no longer interested in accomplishing the will of the crags, but in wielding their power for his own selfish use and desires. He has slowly been siphoning power away from the choir and has grown stronger than they could ever have imagined. As the choir revealed these terrible truths to us, Seri started to shake, and she exploded with an iron-hot fury. She declared that she would find and kill Aventhi and then mend the cracking in the sky. The choir shook their heads and said that the disappearance of the cracking would not be in our best interest. Their parting words to Seri were, "You will do our will, or your power will be revoked." The choir were swallowed up into the darkness around them as our eyes were filled with a piercing bright light. I covered my face with my arm, and when the brightness had faded, we found ourselves surrounded by the blue tents of the Tempered Requiem. Victor was standing before us, and it was so good to see his sly, blindfolded face again. Before we could even greet Victor, I was tackled to the ground by my sweet Darian. He burrowed his twitching wet nose into my neck. I scratched behind his floppy ears, which caused one of his powerful legs to thump the ground with pleasure. Seri was acting a bit bristly, and I could sense that she was, perhaps, a little jealous of Darian. Eventually, we convinced Seri to take Darian for a ride. She climbed on his back, and he immediately took off. Victor admitted that he had fed Darian a sugar bomb. It was quite miraculous that Seri managed to hang on. They came bounding back to us, and it was clear, from the look of utter glee on her face, that Seri is a fan. Though it only felt like we had been with Seri and the choir for a few hours, Victor revealed that we had been gone for nearly 2 weeks. While we had been away, Victor had been off in the woods with Ivan, the prime of the Third Ring. While in the forest, Ivan led Victor to a very sacred tree that the Lapis Wing has named the Still Wind Oak. The leaves of the tree are made of metal. Ivan explained to Victor that he needed to connect with the tree to collect the materials necessary to forge his first blade. Victor showed us the metal leaves he had gathered from the Still Wind Oak. Ivan was so impressed by Victor's actions that he unlocked the lapis seal of Victor's blindfold, declaring that Victor is every bit the prodigy his mother said he is. Ivan looked at Victor with pride. I'm not sure what happened in the forest, but I can already see a change in Victor. A maturity and humility that wasn't there before has ebbed its way into his countenance. When Victor learned of our encounter with Aventhi, he pulled out the book of bounties that we had taken from Skaven and his gang of bandits. He flipped through the parchment, scouring each page until he found what he was looking for. He turned the book so we could see for ourselves. The page was titled Aventhi the Harvester. There was listed a reward of 500 gold for information about Aventhi, and 50,000 gold for the bastard himself, dead or alive. At the bottom of the page, we found that the bounty was issued by none other than our friends of Clan Fallowshield. With this revelation, Seri jumped about excitedly. Gerard, a member of the clan that we fought alongside in the battle in the Emerald Wilds, had invited Sari to join the clan, as she has no clan of her own. Hearing that we share an enemy with the clan, Sari announced that she would officially be joining the Fallowshields. We spent the next 2 weeks traveling with the Tempered Requiem to Terrebaun. Every night the blacksmiths set up their fires to assist Victor with forging his blade. I had no idea how long it takes to forge this type of knife. Victor has put his blood, sweat, and tears into this blade. He was able to embed in the blade the feather embarrass the fire elemental had given him. The knife is called Cinder Hearth. It is a thing of beauty and suits Victor very well. When we were about 10 miles outside of Terrebaun, we noticed that the Emerald Wilds had been hacked away to make room for farmlands. It is little wonder Needlebranch was so angry with the people of Terrebaun. I don't regret our defeating him, but I do think his malice was justified. Ivan and his people seemed disgusted when we found the deforested area. Bolt asked me to message Kes to suggest he take on Hug as a ship hand. I think they would make a fine pair and was glad Bolt made the suggestion. Next, I messaged Lukan, asking him if he would still like to meet. I don't enjoy disappointing him. He has been so good to me and has taught me many valuable skills. However, if he is unable or unwilling to understand my devotion to the trio, I cannot continue in his employ. Bolt suggested we make our way to the Satin Cat, a lovely little inn not far from the main gate. We parted ways with the Tempered Requiem. Ivan felt it best if they camp outside of Terrebaun. I do hope we will see Ivan again. He is a great leader, and I've learned much from his example in the weeks we've spent together. I can only dream of becoming half the leader he is one day. As we made our way closer to the gates, a man with wild gray hair and grubby, tattered clothes ran up to us. He was carrying a sign that read, "The end is near." He was babbling on about the earth shaking and the end of Aneria. Ezra assured him that the Wayward Watch would save the day and not to fear. It seemed a bit silly to make such a grand statement. Surely the soothsayer had no knowledge of the real threat to Aneria, Aventhi, but Ezra's declaration seemed to ease his fears nonetheless. He was soon on his way, shouting praise for his newfound liberators. Us. I should have taken the old man a bit more seriously. No sooner was he out of sight than the ground began to shake, just as he said it would. Several farmers came running toward us. I have seen the look on their faces before, when we first entered Bell's Watch, as it was being attacked by the Emerald Wild. This time, however, it was not the Wilds, but a band of terrifying monsters with strong, snapping mouths that were causing the mayhem. One of the monsters erupted from the ground just behind a farmer. It snapped its terrible jaws shut around the farmer's leg and dragged him into the ground. Ezra quickly ran to the remaining farmers and shouted at them to run for cover while drawing an arrow from his quiver. Sari and Bolt were right on his heels. Sari swiftly turned Craggy into a spiked chain and gave Bolt a little wink. Bolt threw one of their wire traps into the opening just as one of the beasts emerged from the ground, trapping it in the tangled net. Another beast emerged out of the reach of Bolt's trap and slammed into Sari. Its armor-like skin screeched as it came in contact with Sari's spiked chain. Bolt pummeled it with their gauntleted fist, and Victor threw Cinderhearth out to slice it up. We were all amazed when we saw Victor's new blade light on fire. Ezra and I attempted to take out a second-plated monster directly in front of me. Ezra shot 2 arrows at it, then it took off running away from me. Darian chased after it with me on his back. The monster was too far away to hit with my longsword. I reached to my back and grabbed a javelin we had found near the Void Rift. I threw it and hit the beast. The javelin then erupted in an array of red and green light. The monster recoiled in agony. I heard Bolt shout out as they suffered from a bite from the beast they were trying to kill. More magic arrows sailed through the air. A web of orange magic ensnared one of our foes, squeezing it to death. Before I knew it, Sari was at my side with her chain and had wrapped the beast in this new version of Craggy. bolt ended the ambush as their gauntlet grew red with magic, then erupted, searing the monster with rings of magical energy. I'm still not certain what exactly had happened. What were these beasts, and why were they attacking the farmers? Had they been sent by a greater foe? Were they merely defending themselves against the farmers? Honestly, Mother, I'm disappointed in myself for not pausing to better assess our attackers. The Wayward Watch is better than that. I cleaned my sword and retrieved my javelin. We regrouped, and I felt my communication ring go cold. It was Lukan. I nervously extracted the parchment and read his message. It was 5 words long. Meet me at the gate. And with that, my insides tied themselves into nervous knots again. Love, Eve.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tales of Aneria, Session 14. I lost my confidence there a moment.
15!
Even
better.
I quit.
Try again?
No, we're good. If everybody remembers last time, great. If not, well, there's the recap. You can go back and give it a little listen. But before we begin tonight, happy birthday, Mr. Rogers. It is, we're dating the video here a little bit, but yeah, happy birthday.
Thank you.
We've got a nice, Scott, switch it to the battle cam for a moment so we can see the nice...
the battle cam.
Yep. the nice little spread that
Torrey
brought in.
Now known as the
eaten
Look
charcuterie
how awesome
cam.
that is. That's,
And the birthday,
Charcuterie.
we got the birthday dog somewhere.
The birthday dogs.
There you go.
There.
yep.
Nice. Thank you,
And it
guys.
should be an interesting night. We will see how interesting it is.
For your birthday, Cory got you death.
TPK. I mean, sweet release.
I hope you like that. It's like the only thing that I can bring to the table. All right. So, last time you guys saved some farmers. You're on your way into Terrebaun with a cryptic message from Lukan that just says, "I will meet you at the gate." And you're
Are those farmers still around by chance?
yeah, they're kind of still milling about. They look pretty winded from their long run.
Okay, making a mental note of that.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we should probably talk.
Were
to
they
those guys.
okay? Like, we sort of talked to him a little bit, but I think, and you can cut this if you want, but like, after the episode last week, I just remember feeling like, I feel like Sari, or maybe all of us, for that matter, probably would have been like, are you guys okay? And like, why were you being attacked by these things? And do you know where they came from? And like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, so you did ask the farmers if they were all right. They did say that, you know, they did thank you for saving most of them. Like, obviously you couldn't save the ones that were killed before you got there. You did criticize House Greenwood a little bit,
Yes,
if you remember.
I remember that.
And the rest of the farmers are just like, we believe they're just monstrosities from the Emerald Wild. They just came up and started attacking us randomly. I mean, we've had bullet attacks before, but nothing nearly as... they're usually solitary hunters, you see. They're not really... they don't really hunt in packs.
So 2 of them at a time is unusual.
Unless it were some sort of mating dance. I'm not exactly sure when their mating season is.
They mate between bites.
I'm just a farmer. Yeah. It could be some sort of like first
spicy.
date or...
Wow.
No.
Well,
How long have you been farming here outside?
Oh, our family's had that farm over there, and he points like way off in the distance where there's a little bit of smoke billowing up. For about 35 years now. I'm the 3rd generation of farmer to be there. Yeah.
Hey, we noticed as we were coming in that a lot of the Emerald Wild has been cut down.
Oh, yes. We need to make sure that we keep that back as far as possible. You know, it's dangerous business, the Emerald Wild is.
Interesting.
We do have a little experience with the Emerald Wild.
Yeah, so you know. bunch of savages in there, if you ask me.
I disagree, but
Clearly, you haven't been to the Emerald Isle if you disagree. And he
Sarah
starts,
decides to hold her
coughing
tongue.
a little bit.
What?
There's a first for everything.
First time in 15 episodes.
That's a bad omen.
And Sarah
Well,
holding her tongue is
GPK is
worth a luck die.
Wow.
And then, of course, birthday boy gets a luck die.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is the true gift.
Thank you.
Now, if you excuse me, I have to get back to work. Crops don't grow and pick themselves.
Glad we saved
They
you.
usually do grow themselves, but we understand your meaning.
You're obviously not a farmer. And he grumbles as he walks away, mumbling about tourists.
Under my business, I'll show you.
Yeah.
I didn't like him very much.
Well, he had just suffered a near-death experience, so in his defense.
He's a farmer from Terrebaun. I don't really expect much more than that.
But I am a little troubled, I'll admit, by the animosity between the Wilds and Terrebaun. It's hard to say who's more to blame at this point when a feud has gone on for this long. I would know, I suppose. My mother's people and my dad's people were at one another's necks for decades. Until I came along, I suppose.
Well, perhaps, like when you walk into a place that has a hornet's nest and you step in it and they begin to buzz and get angry, perhaps this was the bullet's hole. Perhaps this is their ancestral home or something. I don't know.
Or maybe they were just hungry.
Bro, I wouldn't eat a farmer though. There's not much meat upon their bones these days. Kind of sparse out here.
Have you tried farmer before?
I don't think I would. No. Hard no. Just trying to put my head in the space of the hunter.
Right. Well, should we go see what Lukan's after? You're procrastinating.
Well, all right. Let's go.
Okay. All right. So you head on back onto the main road, following along to the gates of Terrebaun. The walls of Terrebaun City are tall. They look like they are built for the biggest siege possible. A giant itself couldn't really climb over it. It has to press up against it and try and start tearing down the walls before anything can happen. A little Attack on Titan-y. Some might say, just they're tall enough that they can pretty much take anything that comes at them. Kind of, again, it's this weird little hodgepodge of standard medieval castle walls, and then the gate itself is a beautiful archway with two jade pillars etched with gold filigree on either side, sort of like your standard Japanese-style gate with the little accent on the top. Torrey gate? Yeah, Torrey. Thank you. And you can see the gold etchings have these serpents, these golden serpents, kind of winding around them. They don't look like dragons, obviously. Dragons don't look like that. Even in a place with no dragons, you guys know what dragons should look like, and none of them appear to be that way. They just kind of look like these winding serpents.
They have tentacles and they have...
Yeah, tentacles and wings that are also made out of tentacles.
The Cthulhu dragon.
Yeah. And you see a pair of guards standing on either side. They are wearing kind of that heavy, what is it called? It's just like a scale mail, kind of your standard. They call it. They have a specific name for it, but it's like card mail is the translation where they look like playing cards stacked on top of each other, kind of thing. They each have this large tower shield and a glaive. The tower shield has the crest of House Whitetail on it, which does most of the defense for the city, for those of you in the know. And then their masks are they kind of have the standard Kabuto helmet with masks on, and these masks are actually they're like a full mask pretty much. They're not just they're not just the face covering, yeah. But these masks are they have the visages of Naga on them, Guardian Naga, which Ezra you recognize as there's a few different masks that Tushen warriors utilize. Depending on their specific path as it were. Guardian Naga is for guardians, defenders, that sort of thing, guards. And then you've got other ones like Displacer Beast, Mass, which kind of are these like panther-like visages that are for kind of the not the scouts, but like the stealthier options. Not necessarily assassins, because Tushens don't raise assassins, but it's sort of that kind of like hush-hush to the side. The scout ones actually look more like blink dogs than anything else for their visages, because they need to be quick and fast. And then you've got your standard like big bruiser. They're not quite the same as guardians, but they are definitely like the frontline soldiers, and they wear kind of an owlbear visage. Yeah. So, and there's a few different other ones that basically they're mostly modeled after monstrosities in or throughout Aneria, because why would you pick a scary bear when you could pick a scary bear with an owl face?
Yeah.
True. It's a rhetorical question, I think.
Well, sound logic.
Yep. There's a big line going in and out. Unlike with Willow Creek Hollow, there's no like stopping people at the gate. The guards are watching, and if they see anybody acting shady, they might do a stop and search. But for the most part, like there's such huge traffic coming in and out of the gate itself that everything is just kind of flowing. And you get your first look inside at Terrebaun City, which is, again, we kind of have this big hodgepodge of different styles that all seem to blend together in, it's actually pretty well blended together. The House of the Rising Hammer manages all sort of like building and construction in the city, and they manage to make everything look aesthetically unique, but keep that same style that makes it look like it all belongs together. So you see your standard Japanese architecture, and again, I'm using Earth terms for the sake of the players, the sake of the characters. This is your standard Terrebaun architecture. Yeah. And then you also see like architecture that would evoke more like medieval London. You've got a little bit in there that might evoke like a more Indian architecture. And then throughout it all, there are streets, and then there are the rivers and canals that run through Terrebaun City. And they run completely through everywhere. They've diverted a good chunk of the Great River into their city in sort of a Venetian-style canal system.
So there's actually like travel and things on the canal.
Yep, there's like a couple gondolas. You every now and then you see like a small barge. Like they're pretty wide roads to be able to handle these little river things, but it is necessary for all of the trade that comes from the Great River. It's necessary to kind of have these side things so that they don't have to like transfer to a walking horse and then deliver, kind of thing. So yeah.
Okay. How far away were we when the Boulette attack happened?
I'd say you probably were about a mile out from the city itself. Okay. Yeah.
I just want to go up to like one of the guards and just be like, "Excuse me, did you not see the farmers down there with the land shark thingies eating them? Who's in charge of defense of the road around here?"
That would be House Greenwood.
Ah, and that's not your house, I assume?
And he kind of like straightens up a little bit and brings his shield a little bit more to bear to show off the symbol, and he says, "We are House Whitetail."
Ah. Well, if you see anyone from House Greenwood, tell them that they're fortunate that the Wayward Watch is there doing their job for them. And she just walks off.
And his eyes narrow a little bit as you pass, just like scrutinizing you just a little bit more because you decided to actually talk to him. But he doesn't say anything else, so...
Okay.
And then about, I'd say about 100 feet or so in, you see a familiar face. He's standing, he's just kind of talking with a shopkeeper idly, and when he notices the party come in, he gives the shopkeeper a little bit of a wave and heads off and walks up right towards you. Lukan is wearing his traveling clothes rather than anything that he usually wears around the city. He's got his size next to, or strapped to his belt, and he walks up and says, "You've made it."
I have. Did you just arrive yourself, or are you headed somewhere?
I'm heading out. I've been tasked to go search for the book.
Ah. All right. We were hoping to meet with the employer. Is that...
And the employer is still hoping to meet with you. They will contact you when they're ready, though.
You're going alone?
Yes.
against the infinite sight.
Do you not think that I can handle myself?
I'm sure you're perfectly capable, Lukan, but there were lots of them, and they're quite powerful. I'd like to see this in action, to be honest.
Well, perhaps when I get back, I can give you a demonstration of true combat.
Lukan, not to cut through this delicious tension, but I never got to properly thank you for arranging my father's release.
You'll want to send thanks to my employer. They were the one who arranged everything. I'm merely the facilitator.
Figured as much. Did you happen to know where my father's been released to? I don't really have a home for him to come back to anymore.
I haven't heard any news on that matter, unfortunately.
All right.
You may want to speak with the employer when you meet them, if they have time, or the Arcanum themselves.
All right. Well, thank you and good luck in your quest. It will be quite the test.
Lukan, could I speak with you in private for a moment?
Of course. Good day, everyone.
I'll grab Sarah to make sure she actually
She just gives him like a little smirk and a wink. What's up?
Victor looks in like his general direction, but is missing him entirely. And he's like,
Okay. What about Bolt?
I just
Yeah.
hold on.
Bolt's like, yeah, whatever. They got it. Okay. So Lukan kind of pulls you off to the side. I mean, nowhere is really extremely private unless you wanted to go down a dark alleyway in Terrebaun, but
No,
yeah,
thanks.
I didn't think so.
I apologize if I have offended you. I can sense that you are upset.
It's not ideal to be leaving Terrebaun again so soon, but I didn't... I guess I didn't expect half of what you were able to provide, so I'm still pleasantly surprised.
I should say thank you, but I don't know if that was entirely a compliment.
Well, it wasn't. Eve, you're a great girl. I think that you're a little naive.
Is that
And
so?
I think these companions of yours may be utilizing your talents inefficiently.
And you would utilize them in a more efficient way.
I was until you met them.
Oh, I wish I could hear this conversation.
I'm glad you can't. I don't want to hear this conversation.
Cory loves playing the BBEG, but not Lukan.
No.
Like,
There's a difference. Evil's evil, but this is something else.
Yeah. Lukan, I appreciate everything that you've done for me, and you've taught me so much. But if you can't appreciate or understand the deity I serve, then I don't know if I can appreciate and respect you.
I think it's interesting that your deities decided to be more vocal around these new companions rather than with me. Did you not trust me before, Eve?
I've always trusted you.
Really? Because there are certain things about your past that you've been keeping from me. I've kept them quiet and I haven't said anything about them, but it's a little obvious that there's more going on with you.
he's not pulling the blackmail card, is he?
Well, that may be so, but everyone that I had told about my home before I met you didn't believe me, so I didn't think it was necessary to divulge that information.
And yet, you divulged it to them.
They asked.
Right. Look, I hold no ill will towards you. If you need to find work again, feel free to come to me. And you can keep the ring for communication whenever you need it.
All right. I wish you luck with the infinite sight, and I do wish that you would take someone with you.
Maybe I'll find a companion on the road, but I should be okay. I'm not planning on getting into any fights, much to your friend Seredan's chagrin, I'm sure.
Well, I hope to see you again someday.
You will. And he just kind of like turns and walks away with that cryptic last word that he has to get in.
Finding a companion on the road is what Bolt did. Look what happened to Ezra. So Lukan's going to come back as a totally different person, and we're going to be like,
I'm a bard! I'm a bard!
I'll definitely be a bard of valor.
You will take a minute to process and kind of push those feelings down.
Actually,
this one is for the situation, and this is one for making you go through that situation.
Thanks.
yeah, as he walks away, I think Sari would approach Eve and just be like, "Are you all right, Evie? What did he say to you? Do you want me to fight him?"
Yes, but
She starts to walk
no,
towards
no, Sari, no. He is manipulative. I can see that now. And I wish things could be different, but they're not.
Well, I say good riddance. Let's go check out this silky cat. Satiny cat? What was it that Ezra was telling us about?
the Silken Cat. Satin, sorry. Yeah, the Satin.
That place sounded lovely.
I've stayed there many times.
Oh, I could use a drink after.
Oh, that's right. It was you. Sorry, it was Bolt that was telling us about it.
Yeah,
It was just
came up with
Dallin
the
that came up with the name.
It's actually pretty nice to be back to Terrebaun. I haven't been here in roughly 30
I
years.
can't wait to see the place. Look at this. Canals in the middle of the street. Walls. How big is this place? How could they get walls that high to go all around? How many miles this must go for?
You should see the buttresses.
Yes, I know many of them. I can show
never mind.
I can show you the best ones in town,
Let's save the
actually.
buttress for maybe after we've had a full round.
You get on a gondola, and you can go and see all the
Oh no,
architectural.
There's a map.
This is a personal tour. Hop on my back. Or in the baby carrier, whichever you would like.
Can you still have that strapped to the front?
No.
Hoping someone will
It's in the bag, though.
Just keep it there, just in case.
Just
You
in
never
case,
know.
you never know.
Someone might jump in.
Find another gnome that needs to go. Right.
All right, so you guys head off to the Satin Cat, which is, Terrebaun is a huge city, but it is one of the closer inns to this southern gate. In the distance, you can see from here, you can actually see the vague outline, the small little version of Manaport, the giant floating sky city.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then you might see the
So it's
flash
like on the
of-
horizon.
Yeah, it's just on the horizon there. You do see towards the dock area where the Great River is. You do see the kind of the buzzing of airships, kind of docking and undocking and heading off in different directions.
Remind me, for player knowledge.
Sure.
How big is the city
That is a very good question. I forgot.
roughly? Sorry, I don't need exact measurements. I'm just trying to get my head around it. You know what I mean?
Like Waterdeep large? Or...
It's probably larger than Waterdeep,
Each
I'd
house
say.
is 1,500 square feet. There are 1,600
yeah.
It is. If we're judging by the map, we shouldn't judge by the map itself specifically because that is
It's not quite to scale.
yeah, it's not quite to scale. What's going on here?
Because it spans
the
one of the
river.
great rivers. And,
Which means that's I think it's 1,000 miles usually. Well, it's
I thought it was
1,000
100 miles.
or 100 miles. Yeah, it's 100 miles across at any given point. Give or take.
Yeah.
As far as the world goes, which we'll take a look here.
As the crew.
Based on the river, I'd want to say probably the whole thing is probably 600 to 800 square miles. It's a huge city.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably accurate. We'll do it on the low side and say 650 square hundred. Yeah, 650 square miles.
Okay.
But yeah,
Whoa.
It's big.
it is a very
So
big city.
It could take days to get across.
Yeah, it's basically a state, right?
Yeah.
City state.
Yeah, which is probably why 12 houses can kind of coexist more or less peacefully. right now you guys are in the southern half, and there is a lot, like, there are other houses being represented here. You can see the banner for House Whitetail, like we saw at the beginning, especially in the guard houses. You'll see a lot of Whitetail next to the Arcanum banner. There's a lot of greenwood in the southern area. A lot of different houses, or a lot of different buildings are proudly portraying or displaying greenwood as their house, just because it is the southern gate, and that's where the long road starts. But you guys make your way to a portion of the southern side of the city that actually it's got a cat on a kind of just on a pillow for the inn itself. And then there's also a little banner that shows the symbol for House Janik sitting outside of it. Just kind of hanging off of one of the windows itself.
J-A-N-E-K?
J-A-N-N-I-C-K. Yep. And that is, it's sort of it's up on the screen right now. If anybody wants to go onto the World Animal site, you can see it. But it is a set of, thank you. Huh. It's a set of like nuclei, sort of, atomy things. House Janik, this will be basic history, and then Bolt might be talking about while taking you on the buttress tour to the Satin Cat. House Janik basically deals with artifice. Most of the artifice that comes out of the city is from House Janik.
They're responsible for most new inventions that you see, and you can kind of tell when someone is part of House Janik by the amount of artifice that they wear. They don't wear a lot of nobles' clothing, and a lot of times you can recognize like a floating headdress or some kind of mechanical animals.
Like that one there.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
just like that one.
Definitely. As a gnome passes by, you can see there's like this. They have this sort of tall wirework spire that kind of like swirls around, and then there are a bunch of tiny little airships, single-person airships that are flying about. And you're pretty sure that there are people, like tiny little people, piloting these airships as it kind of goes. It's like its own little colony on top of this gnome's head.
I want one of those.
What were the whirly claws?
Whirly clamps?
Do we see anybody like getting grabbed by a whirly clamp?
Oh yeah, there's actually one guy who like walks out of a tailor shop with a nice tailor suit, and he brushes it off, and then he touches like this little bracer with some symbols that light up, and two whirly clamps come down and grab him by the shoulders and just pick him up and take him away. Not like oh my gosh, this is happening. More like this is
a
happening.
little narrative.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh geez, it was about 10 years after I woke up in the trash pile below Maniport that I made my way to Terrebaun. I heard of this house, Janik, that they knew a lot of artifice, and I was wondering if they could help determine where I came from, maybe who constructed me or something. I basically lived with them for roughly a decade at that point.
Did you apprentice with them, or is that where you picked up your skills?
Initially, they had never seen anyone quite like me, and they were very fascinated. And I asked them some questions and was very interested in learning artifice, and they promised me that they would teach me. And unfortunately, most of my time was spent as a trained monkey, as you would call it. Basically being on the arm of some lord or lady in a party or a ball, just being around something they could show off. And after a while, I actually befriended one of the further parts of the family, kind of like a second or third cousin, the Haveriches. And one of the middle childs helped me. She and I became good friends, and she was learning the art of artifice, and she started teaching me as well. And so that's kind of where I got my initial bit of training. And after a while, it became quite clear that the rest of the house wasn't willing to train me further, and And Janjin, who I'd become good friends with, had a bunch of other obligations for her house. And so I ended up leaving and traveling more of an area. But I do stop in and visit Janjin every once in a while, and it's been about 30 years. It's the last time I've seen her.
We should go say hi.
Oh, in fact, we're going to her place of residence right now.
The Satin Cat.
Yes, she owns it.
Would Eve have ever met her when in her time living here?
Probably not.
Okay.
There's a lot of inns, there's a lot of taverns in Terrebaun. I doubt that you've spent too much time in the Southern District. You probably spent more time kind of in the center of Terrebaun, near the docks. That's where Lukan did most of his business, just because it was easier to take a boat and get out, if you needed to.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we about to the Satin Cat?
You're at the door. Yep.
I'm actually I'll open the door. I'm going to duck down and go through and go, "Oh, little tinkerer."
And you hear this crash in the back. That's probably about 2 or 3 cups or tea kettles, whatever worth. And the door bursts open, and this kind of she's looking a little more hunched than you remember. She's definitely a lot older than you remember. But she's got a pair of goggles on, and she has a good leather wrist wrap that has a lot of different tools that she kind of can pop open as the need be. And she comes in and she goes, "Bolt? Oh my God, it's been 30 years. You've gotten fat.
I guess I have put on a few more pounds of armor, that's for sure.
Come in, please.
So I'm gonna walk up to her.
gains weight.
I had no idea.
No, I literally made armor and attached it. It's part of my Artificer stuff.
No,
Nope.
you were drinking too much oil.
Oh, okay. Too much 10 alarm chili. I'm actually gonna walk up to her and kneel down and just give her a big old bear hug.
Oh yeah, she definitely wraps her arms as far as she can.
She's a gnome, right?
Yep, she is a gnome. Graying hair, kind of done up in that really tall bun type. Definitely looks like she could put a gnome hat on and it wouldn't flop over or anything because of the hair, the way the hair is. And she gives you the biggest hug possible. Maybe you feel it.
I mean, I'm not. I still have a sense of touch.
Yeah, you do have armor on though.
That's true.
I think he feels it in here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
In my chest.
In the chest.
She's made an exoskeleton that gives her 20 strength, and she just crushes you.
Yeah. And she steps back and she says, "Stand up, turn around, let me see everything."
Oh, all right. And so I do a little spin.
And she's like, "What?"
But I do my torso spins and my legs stay still. And
do the reverse. And she nods a little bit and she goes, "Your hip giving you trouble again?"
How'd you know?
Well, you're stuttering a little bit.
I could use a little bit of help if
Well-
you have some spare time. But before we get to all that, I would like to introduce you to my companions here.
Oh, you brought friends.
Yes.
Nice to meet you all. You look like
This is
a wonderful
Torrey.
bunch.
Not Torrey. This is Cory.
Cory.
Hello, Janjin. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Your armor, all of your armor looks handmade. Did you meet up with a certain ring by chance?
Yes, we did.
I'm going to have to examine it all later, of course. But it's very nice to meet
fun.
you, Eve.
Nice to meet you too.
I'm Seredan's fallow shield.
A fellow shield.
Indeed.
Oh, mysterious.
Yes, I'm sort of new to the clan. In fact, I don't believe they know I'm part of the clan yet. But I'm just going to go ahead and assume that they'll accept me.
That sounds like a wonderful story. I can't wait to hear more.
This is Victor.
Hello, I am Victor Odanta of the 4th Ring, nymph, hoping to become part of the 3rd.
Ah, well, welcome to you. Is there anything special that I can do to make your stay comfortable?
No further accommodations. I am very good. But, thank you very much.
Wonderful.
And this is my good friend Ezra.
Nice to meet you, Ezra. Now,
Actually, if you could not move furniture around very often, that would be helpful.
everything is absolutely static today. You may want to worry about tomorrow, but we'll get to tomorrow. Tomorrow. Now,
She does have a tendency to redecorate.
the room has a tendency to redecorate. The fact that I gave it the ability to redecorate is neither here nor there. Now, what can I do for you? Well, sit down, please. And she calls out, and she just kind of calls out an order for like a round of drinks. And soon enough, a young child, not a young child, but a young teen comes out with like a couple on a tray, and he kind of starts passing them out. And she goes, "Do you remember? Oh no, you haven't been around.
No, it's been quite a while.
This is my 23rd. His name is Barrick. Barrick, say hi to Bolt." And Barrick kind of like looks up, and he's got that look in his eye like, "Oh my gosh, I've heard of you."
I'm gonna reach out my hand and take his tiny little hand in it.
And he's going to
nice
drop
to
his
meet you.
tray. Luckily, all of the beer is on the table, and he's gonna shake your hand.
It's very nice to meet you.
It's good to meet you too. All right. That's enough fawning. Now get back into the kitchen.
23, eh? When I last left, there was only 13.
Yes, well, I do so enjoy having the pattering of little feet around.
You enjoy
Ooh,
something,
you saved
that's
it.
for sure.
This one's funny. I like it. So, what brings you all the way to Terrebaun?
We're actually here on sort of business. Eve, if you'd like to.
Oh, certainly. Are you familiar with Lukan? I can't remember.
I don't think we ever came.
Parakeet.
No, that's my last name.
douchebaggery.
You're reading her journal again.
Lukan Fairwhite.
Lucan took her last name.
Lukan Fairwhite was a character in a book I just finished reading. Sorry.
I can't say that I am, unfortunately.
Oh. He was my employer, and we've been hired by an individual to find a book. It's actually Ezra's father's book. It was taken from us by some nasty people who call themselves the Infinite Sight.
Ooh, fancy name.
Right? Anyhow, we've come here to find this individual who hired Lukan and myself to find this book to get some more information about their interest in it.
And I'd like to see your Satin Cat.
Meow.
Right. Where is that little bugger? It's like...
Is that a mechanical cat?
Actually, she goes, "Oh, right." And she grabs one of the kind of the bindings in her hair and pulls it out, and you can see it's actually a collar. And as she tosses it on the ground, there's this little spark of electricity from the collar, and this electrical cat comes up and into being. It's just like a group of sparks. And she goes, "Go lay down for the customers." And the cat goes over to a satin pillow and just lays down and kind of does normal cat things, but it's entirely made out of lightning. You can pet it if you'd like, but
I would. Yeah, Sarah would absolutely like reach out and just try to like.
yeah, it's definitely like it's like a taser, right? Like as you touch it, it's like, ooh, yeah, okay,
Yeah, like licking a 9-volt type of thing.
yep. But it does like it, and it starts like trying to like rub up against you a little bit. Sari's hair goes a little crazy again, actually.
I love when her hair does that.
Like, I'm used to it, and I just start petting it, even though I'm like,
Bolt absolutely loves the cat.
It's true.
Janjin, how long have you run this establishment?
Well, I've been running the Satin Cat for probably 43 years now.
My goodness.
I got it from my great aunt once she passed, and it passed out of the Janik household specifically and into the Haberrench household. We're all part of the same great house, but there's politics and marriages inside and everything like that. So I took it over as part of my duties, and Bolt helped me run the place for a little bit before he left, and then once he was gone, I found a husband to help me run it instead, and children child after child after child after child after child after child. There's a lot of children that came and went.
Speaking of your husband, where is he?
Unfortunately, he is off at the races again. Yeah. I'm not too happy about it, but there's that new. It's a new little craze that people are making mechanical tinkering constructs and then racing them in back alleys and in other places, and he's definitely caught the bug, as it were.
I can imagine why. It sounds very fun.
Yes, until you get into the illegal fighting rings, and then you've got the Arcanum down on your heads, and we can't afford another Arcanum crackdown.
What kind of animals? Any kind?
Oh, they make mechanical squirrels, mechanical badgers. Any type.
Owls?
There might be a few owls in there. I know there is a specific flying league, as it were.
Just curious.
Is that where you made the owl?
You still have it, don't you?
I gave it to you.
It's in
Did
your
you give it
bag.
to me?
It's probably in your bag of holding.
I remember
Yeah.
you gave it back to you.
So you were deep into it before you left, and
You just didn't know it.
He started it.
Another piece falls into place.
No, I actually do take the owl. I actually made one
Oh
myself.
my! How big is it? Is it like a big owl, or is it like
I'd say it's more about that big.
And she takes it. She starts like examining it, flips it over, flips up the tail, starts she opens up the back hatch.
Tickles its bum.
Yeah, it tickles its bum. And starts fiddling around with the gears, and she says, "It's a fine piece of machinery.
Thank you.
It looks like it's supposed to be it's magically connected with somebody, like a familiar almost would be." And she pops off the head and starts digging around. She goes, "Is this a paperclip?
Yeah,
Did you put?"
That's all I had at the time.
All right.
It works, doesn't it?
Yes, but it won't work for very long. Look, Bolt, we'll fix your hip. We'll get you some proper gears in that thing. And I'm assuming that you need a place to stay.
Yes, that would be wonderful.
Well,
we're more than willing to pay, of course.
I would absolutely give you a good discount.
Very well.
Do you have a room with a tub?
Yes. Yes, I do.
I'll take that one.
Actually, they all come with a tub.
Oh.
Yeah.
I knew I liked this place for a reason.
I hope you don't mind canal water. And she starts heading upstairs to kind of guide you along, cackling as she does to her own little joke.
All right.
But she will show you each to the room and give you a little brass key. And it's just like a key, and the circle around it has kind of like this almost ticking clock worth of gears in there that nobody really gets except for Bolt. But as you put the key in and twist it, the gears inside is turn as well. So it's almost like a double lock type of thing.
Double tumblers.
Yep. But each room, it's not quite as fancy as Six Hills. It's not everything that your room needs to be. It's a standard bed, writing desk. There is a tub in the corner, and there's just kind of this metal pipe that kind of sticks out with a crank on it, and you can just open it up and it starts filling with water.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do.
And then there's some coal in the bottom, or not coal in the bottom, underneath the tub. There's a little contraption that she shows you how to turn it on, and it turns on the heat.
fabrial.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. She
Don't
says,
cook yourself.
is this to your liking? Is everything good? I don't want to. Bolt, if you'd like, you can stay in your old room.
You still have it?
Yes, I mean, it's more storage than I'd like, but I can have it cleared out. And she calls down, Brannick, clear out the spare room. Okay.
It's like, no,
Followed by a bunch of clanging.
there goes my afternoon.
What time of day is it?
It's about afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm running a bath. I don't care.
Yeah,
It's a long road.
I'm gonna take a tub.
Hopefully you all brought your drinks up. If not, I'll bring them up to you. That's perfectly
I
fine.
would love a
Is there
wine
room
in the
service?
tub.
Dip?
Not as such, but if you want to have, or if you want something, you can leave a note on the door, and it will be delivered just to the outside door. It won't actually.
I'll get dinner later. Don't worry about it. Thank you.
Perfect. Yes, and feel free to stay as long as you like. Bolt, we'll go ahead and
Yes, let's go
deal with
let's
the
go catch up
specifics
So,
and fix that damn bird of yours.
well, that'd be lovely. Thank you. Yeah. So, but we'll follow her back down to her workbench area or workspace.
So it's you go back to the kitchen, and there's another room behind that, and that room is the Tinker's Workshop, which probably is its own house, basically the Have-A-Wrench household.
Yeah.
It's just as crazy as you remember it. There's a bunch of little hammocks hanging everywhere for the different kids that are staying.
So Bolt goes in, and basically all the memory from his life kind of just floods back in under. Ominous.
Yep.
No way.
That's awesome.
And they just pick right back up like they never left, basically.
Yep.
Like, this is as far as Bolt is concerned, this is home. This is the only place that he truly felt home.
Yeah.
Right.
And by the
Does he
time that
view-
you're...
I'm sorry, I was just gonna ask, does he view her as like a mother, a grandma, an aunt, like
Sister.
More like a sibling.
okay.
Because when Bolt met her, she would have been
15.
Okay.
And by the time that Bolt left, she would have been about 25, which is she started doing the whole like, not debutante, that's a dumb word for it, but similar to that, where like the family, you have things you have to do with the family, and it's important. And
She had 13 children when you left?
No, I left. But that was okay. So there's more backstory to this.
He came back frequently and like visited.
Gotcha.
He just hasn't
Okay,
been back
gotcha.
in 30
I was
years.
like,
75
holy
years ago,
smokes.
Bolt
What is the
woke up,
gestation?
and 10
Of a
years
known
after
baby.
that, 10 years after that, you made it to Terrebaun.
Okay.
And so, that would have been 65 years ago.
And then you were kind of in and around Terrebaun
Yeah.
Got it.
up until about 30 years ago.
Yeah.
at
And
which
the
point
last time
you-
I'd been back to Terrebaun was about 30 years ago.
Yep.
So she's in her 70s?
She's 75.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I think gnomes can live well into their hundreds.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly. So she's probably towards the tail end of middle age, but she looks as spry as ever. And as you finish taking stock of the entire house, she's already got like the right hip plate on your armor off, which your armor shouldn't be removable unless you allow it.
Yeah.
So it's probably a good sign of like I feel comfortable here. And she's already like fiddling with the individual like magical components that make up your
you
leg.
actually hear Bolt actually giggle for the first time ever.
And it does carry.
What is that noise?
Maybe they're more than friends.
I'll lock my door.
You just scoot the tub over and click, and then scoot it.
Just get out naked and just walk over and walk back.
Perhaps the fact that her husband is away is quite convenient.
Everyone's gonna have.
Everybody.
Everybody's gonna have.
Ceradon just thinks that everybody be banging. I don't know.
I just think
Have you lived in life?
the size
Everybody do be
difference.
banging.
True.
Oh, jeez.
So what does everybody want to do for the evening? Does anybody have any like desires while they're in
Yeah.
Terrebaun?
I want to go on a canal ride.
Okay.
Get a lay of the land. Well, at least the near 10 miles. I don't know how far the canal will take us.
Yeah,
Maybe see what kind of shops, restaurants, like just I don't know.
I think Sarah would just want to be a tourist for a bit.
Yeah.
We don't have to play it out. I just
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can go ahead and say that we'll have everybody kind of think about like one feature of Terrebaun, a restaurant or a specific entertainment thing that you guys can come up with and let me know about. And if anybody has anything specific, like any sort of shopping wise, if they want to like go do something in downtime, that's fine because there is no contact for a few days at least. So you guys have a little bit of free time while you're waiting around for whoever this employer is to contact Eve via the ring.
Yeah. I think if it's a couple days, probably kind of let down my facade a little bit of like being this like, ooh, I'm a fighter, Just kind of let it down and relax a little bit and just be more casual with everybody and just
Let the city guard take care of it.
yeah, that kind of thing. Like this isn't my job to protect.
You see a fight break out, and you're just like, no, I'm on vacation.
I don't need to do that.
If you do wish to keep your martial skills up, there is a Tushin
Yeah, I'll always
training facility.
Like wake up and go do that in the morning and then just kind of.
Yeah, it's not
everybody
really.
else
Yeah,
is wanting to do today.
the Tushin facilities are more like they're kind of just scattered about, and they just have sort of it's like a gym,
Yeah.
specifically for warriors.
So if you do end up going to those after like the first day or two, Victor would approach like very sheepishly, and he's like,
So I was trying to practice in the courtyard, and the guards got mad. Can I come with you?
Yes, you'll just have to say the 5th virtue to get in for under as a Tushin.
He looks like. Well, what is
I'm just
tell me
kidding.
more.
They don't. They don't
Okay,
have-
okay. I wasn't sure if you were joking or not.
It's like a back alley gym. You like knock on the door and the thing slides open. What's the password?
What's
What's the
today's
fifth virtue?
Yeah.
It's leg day.
yeah. It's never like day and the door slams.
They're all like boom, and then pencil lace.
Yep.
Yeah. Sari would just want to like explore the canals. Probably ask Eve like to show her, old haunts, where she stayed when she lived here and stuff like that.
We'll say for the sake of ease, it doesn't take days to get anywhere in the city. The canals, like the boats, are pretty quick as far as that goes. So you guys can get where you need to go, and back in a half a day. So, Eve, what is the kind of area that you and Lukan hung around in?
It's definitely, Lukan is all about the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, definitely in an area
Of an area.
of
The
affluence.
Broadway
It's a
district.
nice place, but it's one of those things where it's like it looks really nice on the outside, but it's not that great on the
Vegas.
inside. Yeah, Las Vegas. And she definitely, her room within his home, apartment, whatever it is that he lives in, is pretty homey, dumpy, sad.
Yeah, he definitely has like one of those, like on the outside it looks like it's in a really good area, but it's like you don't really, where the key is, so you can go in there and there isn't really much inside of it. It's like a single man's apartment with one towel hanging that you're pretty sure is still a little damp.
On one side of the towel it says butt, the other side it says face.
Yep.
Yep.
So you know which end to dry with.
And you arrange it so it says butt face.
Right.
You're like, yeah, there you go, Luke.
Take that, Lukan.
Next time he showers, he's like, oh wait, what? No, they're touched.
Actually, Sari will go up to the face part and just rub it in her armpits.
Do the floss with it.
Oh my word.
Poor Lukan. No, I don't feel bad
Brought
for
some
him.
canal water.
Don't want Cory to feel bad for Lukan. That's the last thing we want.
All right, he's getting the book now.
Yeah, and I would be glad to show Sari about, and definitely go to a place where she can feel like she's close to nature, which is kind of difficult.
Yeah.
Is there like a grove?
There
or
are
park?
actually places. There's some parks that you can go to. If a lot of them are run by, there's a specific house that handles a lot of that. Just a moment here, I'll tell you which house it is. I believe it's House Bray.
House Bray.
Yep. House Bray considers themselves more a collective of like-minded souls rather than any sort of like formalized house with structure. They're sort of if you wanted to, you could even make a request to go see Bray Alon, the Great Tree, which is this massive like tree with crystals that grow off of it.
I'd like
in
that.
Absolutely.
Terrebaun. Yeah. And they approve it pretty easily. It's sort of like a tour thing. And it is this beautiful, well-manicured grove. Like, it definitely looks a little bit less natural and wild than you expected. But House Bray is all these different, like, druids that know how to, like, shape crystals and all these shamans there and everything. And they'll give you a little quick tour around. Basically, Braylon was once a sapling that was exposed to a wellspring of magic. And it grew into this mighty tree. It's not unlike what Victor... I don't know if Victor actually described the Steelwood Oak to everyone.
He probably would have, maybe not in like super detail of the more things that he would consider like
Sacred.
very spiritual or sacred at
Yeah.
that point. But otherwise, yeah, he'd totally.
Yeah, so it grew in a few short weeks, turning the leaves and bark vibrant shades of violet. So it is a violet tree. and then there again these big like crystals grow off of it, and they contain mana and arcane energy and everything. So a lot of like the nature spirits, you see some fairies and you see some dryads that have grown out of smaller trees around it. But a lot of them are very much like they're a little different than what you expect from those forest spirit types. They're a little bit more crystalline in nature. You know, they'll have like crystalline hair, or the hooves will be like pure shining diamond or something like that. Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool. What's that tree called again?
That is Bray Alon. BRAY'_ALON.
Cool.
Awesome.
And then just so you know, they handle the trade of most like magical components for spell casting and rituals and all of the different like disenchanting materials or enchanting materials that you would see. And then they also have the biggest supply of magical wood that is found in many airships. That they lovingly call driftwood, by the way, because it is light and kind of just drifts along the ground.
That's awesome.
It's weightless. So.
When we get to the gym spots, is there ever the way the Tushen kind of operate? Is there ever like a what do you call that? Like a tournament or any kind of like show your skills or?
Yeah, I mean they've got like sparring areas if you'd like to
There's
spar
one of those
against
machines
people.
the love machine where you squeeze it to see
Your passion.
The Tushen are like,
No, not Tushen.
don't fight unless you absolutely have to. Like
Yeah,
sparring,
okay.
yes, but like we're not going to draw blades on each other because
Yeah.
what if somebody got hurt or
Right.
Sparring is definitely done with like wooden
Yeah.
blades and
yeah. And even then, it's like, why would you ask me to spar with you? I will
It's
because
very,
I won't
very
back
like
down.
more
Yeah.
at peace. Got it.
Yep.
That's what we're trying to understand is their temperament, I guess.
we will say that during one outing, you do experience one formalized duel between a slighted party and the slider. Ooh. And it is a very ritualistic affair. Like if you sit and watch it for the full time, it's definitely like an hour and a half of like the reading of grievances and the discussion about
We're
it.
watching this.
Yeah.
It's not just two people
This
grunting
is
and like
rare. Victor, you don't
staring
understand.
at them.
You probably won't see something like this again. This is worth watching.
Well, now you're making me feel bad.
I'll describe it to you.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
I mean, again,
Most of
you
it's
have a little
talking.
bit of blindside.
It's
Yeah.
And in Victor's head, he doesn't. It's what do you call that? He gets a small amount of like glibness, I guess, from messing with people,
Yeah.
and so it's yeah. Not that he actually can, but
Yeah, so after like the hour and a half of litigation over the duel and the rules and everything, the two affected parties, which hadn't been talking up to this point, it was like done through other Tushen adjudicators, they step up. There is an Arcanum like medic kind of sitting in one corner just in case anything goes horribly wrong. But they will both bow to each other. And they pull out blades, kind of your standard. The standard Tushen is like a katana style blade. There's different variations depending on which weapon you decide to master, but that is the most common that you see is a Tushen katana. And they will square off in a dazzling display of almost it feels like a little bit like knife dancing almost, but you can tell that there's definitely a little bit more brutality behind it than what knife dancing would be, because
you are art, we are the science of war.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
And in the end, like one of them, it's a point system. There's full on like a hit is registered, and even if it is with real weapons, there's still like a hit's registered, and they go back to corners and they make sure that there's no like permanent damage, that sort of thing.
so similar like fencing kind of.
And in the end,
some of the dishonorable ones try to kill you. I wonder if
That sounds exciting.
and then in the end, the party that brought the grievance loses, and they apologize formally for bringing the grievance forward, and they pay a fine of like 10 to 15 gold or something like that to the other party. Yep.
Victor, I'd like to air my grievances about you later, and then we can fight.
That sounds awesome.
Cool. It's like run off, like we're gonna go play in the woods.
Exactly.
High five.
Victor's starting to warm up to him. So.
Okay. And then, so I would say it actually is like just about a week passes where you guys are doing your own things throughout the city. Bolt definitely gets a full upgrade for whatever the owl is that you decide to, like whatever you decide to do with it.
Yeah. So once we get the owl working,
Yeah.
and it starts to hop around and fly a little bit,
Yep.
I'm actually going to give it to Janjan and ask her, will you please take care of it? Use it as maybe another mascot. I noticed that it and the cat were playing the other day.
Yeah, Sparks does love the cat or the owl. That's for sure.
Yeah. The cat's like coming up and like licks the owl, and the owl's like.
But then it's like.
I can find a use for it. Are you sure you don't want? I mean, it's.
I can't quite remember why I built it. All I remember is.
Are you
constructing
having
it?
more memory troubles?
Well, actually, as a matter of fact, I'm remembering things. I'm assuming from before I woke up.
Wow,
Possibly clues to
that's exciting.
where I came from. So I'm going to just go ahead and tell her, because I've had 3 different visions now, basically.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely you walk her through the different visions. She takes extensive notes, asks a bunch of clarifying questions.
How does this make you feel?
Yeah. And after the end of the 3rd vision, she goes, "Well, I mean,
I use the seatbelt to make a therapist
couch."
Yeah.
Well, it does sound like your first memory, the area that you described, sounds like the marshlands.
Well, that's what I was thinking about too. But I'm hoping that once we wrap up a few things, we can head that direction. I hope that my companions will accompany me, so that
I would hope so too. The marshlands is no safe place.
I've heard it's very dangerous. So I've avoided it thus far. Haven't really had anyone but myself. So
Well, I do hope that your companions go with you, and
I do too.
I do hope that you can get your memory back, Bolt. That is, it's always been my greatest failing, never being able to help you the way that you wanted.
Oh, don't put it on yourself.
I put it on my great uncle, actually. The so-and-so.
The oaf.
Gorain was quite the interesting man.
He was the so-and-so, that's for sure.
Okay.
And she looks over at Brannick, pointedly, there's more than I want to say about my great uncle, and the only thing that's holding me back is the child in the room.
Because they know that
Earmuffs.
they know that they're gonna repeat it in front of the other person. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, you're dead.
Yeah. But I just, are you sure you don't want to keep the owl?
I can always return for it.
Okay. All right. I promise I'll keep my husband away from it.
See that you do. I would prefer it not to be destroyed in one of these mechanical races / back alley battles. So.
Well, I dearly hope that he's not getting into any of the back alley brawls. That's for sure.
You're gonna get one of those messages or whatever, famous owl. Wait a second, he's racing.
Yep.
Taking the world by storm.
Is there room for Darian to fit in Eve's room?
No. Well, actually, if you summon him in there, yes.
She will do that.
Okay. Yeah, he'll just kind of lays about
And use him
in the
as a
corner.
bed.
Oh yeah, you're just gonna forgo the bed completely.
Pull one of his ears
over
as a blanket.
Yeah. Does it take long for Eve to kind of move past what happened with Lukan, or is it still on her mind?
She's definitely still processing those feelings and trying not to blame herself for his actions.
Okay. But there's still a little bit of, like, doubt in there. And
She's still insecure.
okay.
Yeah.
Does she share this with anybody else, or does she keep it to herself? I mean, besides Darian, who probably has her complete confidence.
Instead of a diary, she's like, Dear Darian.
Dear Darian is writing it down for you.
Dodie, take this down.
She doesn't vocalize that with anyone else.
Okay.
But I would think everyone else kind of sees that Eve is a little bit like sulky, like me.
Mm-hmm.
I got my heart broken a little bit.
Yeah.
I know exactly how it feels like, and I open the chest. See? Totally broken.
You're a mess.
Bolt, why don't you go in the back and see if you can fix up that old contraption that we've been working on for years?
I'm going to gather up the ingredients for charcuterie and take it to Eve and knock on her door with a bottle of wine and charcuterie.
Oh, that's so nice.
I've noticed you've been a bit down lately. Care to dine? Or snack? Or...
Yes. I love to snack.
I find cheese always makes me feel pretty good about things that are bad.
I cannot get over Lukan and how he's made me feel. With him gone, the time apart is good. But every time I think about him, I just get so angry with myself for falling into his manipulative trap. Angry at myself for trusting him. And angry at myself for thinking he's wonderful and has some sort of redeeming qualities still.
That's probably his most dangerous act.
It is.
The act that he can be saved or redeemed.
Well, I think time will heal my wounds. But I just need to learn to be stronger. Need to be better.
I think you're plenty strong. You've led us to hell and back. Maybe it's not what you want to hear, but I think you're doing great.
Thank you,
I know
Ezra.
you maybe want to be down right now, and so kind words sometimes aren't as helpful as you think they are. But
No, it's very helpful. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm grateful for your friendship.
you
And
as
for
well.
the cheese.
Yes.
You guys spend a little bit of time with the charcuterie, and suddenly you get this scent of lilacs, like beautiful flowers, and it takes you a moment to realize that it's coming from your ring.
Do you smell that?
Smells like the fields outside of Willow Creek Hall.
It's coming from my ring.
Interesting.
This must be a message from the employer.
As you pull it out, you, by the way, during the 7 days, you also did get a notification from Kes that said that he was on his way to the location that you talked about for Hug.
Good.
Yeah. So
It's gonna go pick up
Hug,
Hug.
hug.
Yep. Hug. He's gonna get a hug.
Kiss, kiss. Big hug, little kiss. Big hug, little hug.
So perfect.
Little kiss.
So all his letters are going to be signed XO
Yep.
Oh my
for
goodness.
Kes Hug.
Kes Hug. Yep.
Or Hug Kes, whichever is first.
XXO.
Kiss, kiss, hug.
Kes Hug. Yep.
Yep.
An
But
X is a kiss,
yeah,
right?
I think so.
An O is a hug,
Because the O is
Circle around.
Embrace.
and it's a kiss because you.
because you don't want one.
Kiss.
No.
No. Hug. It's a dance.
But this message is a little bit more cryptic. It just gives you an address within Terrebaun City. And a time, which is 5:30 this evening.
What do you think?
Should probably get everybody else in here.
Is
Or
Eve
go out
familiar, like, with this address? Does she know where it is?
It is towards the center part of the city, very much like closer to Lukan's hangouts.
Okay.
Not necessarily in the red light district that makes up his usual haunts, but very near it.
Let's go see if Bolt or Janjin might have some insight on exactly where we're headed.
Yes. Good idea.
Bolt?
Yeah, you can definitely find Bolt. Janjin hasn't really like limited you guys, like stay out of the kitchen, stay out of the house or anything. So, because if you're Bolt's friends, you're her friends.
Yeah, Bolt's just been helping like fix up anything around the house needs to be fixed. And,
Yeah, there's definitely some like
slip back
room
into the-
boilers that
slip back into like do the chores type of thing.
And with Janjin completely saying like each time she catches you doing something, you don't have to do that.
That's fine.
But that's where you find them arguing over a specific like boiler that's out that would provide like hotter water to like a specific area.
No, I've told you before, it's the pressure regulator.
I've checked the pressure regulator 3 times. I've replaced it twice.
All the
It's not-
symptoms lead to that being the problem.
Yeah,
gonna
okay.
go
Take
find
off the
Sarah.
pressure regulator and you tell me if it's bad.
Good luck.
Okay, I will.
Excuse me.
Oh, so sorry. We were just having a discussion about how wrong Bolt was.
Well, you're probably right.
Exactly.
Sorry.
You have smart friends.
I
I
was
don't know,
wondering.
maybe not so smart after all. Definitely a pressure regulator.
Just a moment. And she turns around and like punches you in the thigh.
Blind.
Now, how can I help you?
My goodness. Janjin and Bolt. You both know Terrebaun better than I do. I received an address, and I'm wondering if you know what it is.
I can take a look. I know plenty of places in the city.
This is it. What's
And-
the address?
And she looks at the address because I'm not going to name streets in Terrebaun. That'd be ridiculous.
123 Terrebaun Way.
Yep. And she blinks and she goes, "What? Are you sure that this is the correct address? This is confirmed?"
Why? What's the deal? I'm gonna look at it too.
That is the address for the main house for House Crestor, one of the noble houses of Terrebaun.
Unless they've moved in 30 years, this is House Crestor's address.
Yeah.
I feel a main plot thread coming.
That's my estimation as well. Unless somebody's playing tricks on you, that's where you're heading.
So, House Crestor.
Yeah.
Like, what is their specialty? Like, Bolt would know this, right?
Yeah. Scott?
Why
Why don't you tell him? Nice.
Sorry.
Looks really good, Preston. That's awesome.
Is that the guard?
I think.
That's cool.
I'm not sure.
I didn't get all the things written down before I. What you were saying, I was trying to write.
Yeah, card scale armor.
Do they
Kabuto.
have- Do they have the
Pauldrons.
samurai
Oh, yeah.
pauldrons? Okay.
Yep.
'Cause
Yeah,
I
think
took some
pretty much
reference here.
samurai armor.
Okay.
The House of Crestor was originally founded by Lady Balana Crestor. And she's still running it to this day. So, they are a house of magic users. And they pretty much... they're on the Council of Terrebaun as the main source for all things magic and sorcery. And they also regulate and handle most of the magic item trade in town.
And then
And they also
you're seeing it up on the screen right now, but for everybody else, this is the house symbol.
Sweet. They also handle most interactions with the Arcanum, acting as the voice of the city when dealing with law mages.
Maybe they're the good guy version of the Infinite Sight. Or maybe they're just the Infinite Sight without an eye.
Ooh. Oh, wow, my brain did not even make that connection. Thanks, Dallin. Because it's the
Hourglass.
hourglass.
Indeed.
Oh boy. We are in trouble.
Wait, you're not there. You went to get us.
I know. This is just me.
Unless it's a ruse and the infinite sights.
Well,
the good
we
guys
can
on
say
the
that
road.
everybody met up and both gave the explanation
Okay.
of House Restore.
Okay.
So, we've been asked to meet here at 5:30.
Let's go. How long does it take to get there?
Well, if you take one of the water taxis, it shouldn't be more than an hour, which would put you, well, just about 20 minutes early.
Are they still using the old T650 steam engines?
Actually, House Janik came up with a wonderful little thing. It walks on the bottom.
Oh.
It's not steam powered anymore.
Fascinating.
There's little legs that
Very
propel it
cool,
along.
but we only have 20 minutes, and I fear this conversation will go far beyond that.
I would put your best foot forward as far as everything goes.
This is probably
by
the
way.
first time that Victor's ever been like in a really big town and like is enjoying the. It's Halbert. You got it from Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum.
Oh, fine.
The
to practice with this.
but he's like almost going a little bit. What do you call that? He's like, I'm gonna miss my nail appointment
You go
later. You
pretty
know what I mean?
pink.
Like, yeah, like he's just soaking it in, and he's a little perturbed because he's like,
But, I had a sparring appointment later today, and... okay, that's fine.
Victor,
It's
you
okay.
don't have to come if you
but-
need to go
but
to
Vicky,
the
you have to
sparring
come.
appointment.
There could be a fight. We need you.
You have to
Okay,
go.
okay, I'll come. Oh, you're right, if it's fighting, I like it.
Oh, Victor, yes. Walking on the bottom.
Yes.
say.
All right, let's.
Uh,
I think we should all take.
Gong.
Bring
Oh,
weapons.
yes.
Of course.
I mean, don't be too threatening when you walk up to a noble house. That's
Of course not.
rule number 1 of Terrebaun.
Sarai, should you make cracking into a skirt again?
It's a flute.
Oh.
She just hangs the flute.
I think you actually have something in your half plate, if you remember.
Oh, that's right.
They
It goes in-
They
it
gave
goes
you like a
in
little
the-
groove
that's
that
right.
you could slide in.
Yeah, it was
So
cool.
It's my flute groove.
Fill the music. Boom. You shoot it out at people.
That's right.
Just the flute.
Just the flute.
Ow.
Still the
And
music.
2d12 damage.
Well, best of luck. If I don't hear from you in 24 hours, I'll call somebody.
Yes, I will try to stop back by.
Well, send the owl.
Not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea. Okay. And as you leave the Satin Cat, you actually see the owl is sitting on top of the cat, and it's giving little music note trills, because you did add one of those little rotating, almost like player piano type.
Oh, yeah.
where,
Oh, cool.
where it's got the little
Music
wires that
box,
ding,
that's
ding,
cool.
ding. Yeah, so it is giving little trills to kind of draw in customers.
Okay.
Okay.
Taxi?
Yep. So you guys just the next skiff that comes around, you climb aboard, and you can feel it lurch a little bit as it starts taking off, because it is one of the walking models. They do still have a few of the steam
I'm,
powered ones. but-
Leaning over the side, basically head in the water.
Hold my feet.
Yep. So it takes you about an hour. Everybody's prepared. Or preparing in that time. I'm assuming you're all going to show up in full adventuring gear. There's nobody who's going to try and be nice and wear formal wear, but that's fine.
I don't even know.
Do we have
formal
formal
wear.
wear? If we have some,
Yeah,
I'll buy it.
you had
Yes,
7 days
actually.
in the city
Yeah,
if you wanted to
I
buy
would've
a
bought
nice.
a nice cloak
Okay.
to go over. It fastens at the side and it goes over my armor. So,
I-
and if I need to, I can just be. I'm
Yeah.
ready to go.
yeah, I've got some ceremonial or whatever fine
It's
clothes.
terrible.
I don't.
It's Velcro on the sides. It just has fake straps.
Yep.
But it's
Hey.
really just Velcro.
In a medieval world, if you made clothes with Velcro, like and invented it, that would be something the nobles would absolutely
Oh,
wear.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
They're
Velcro
called
shoes would be
breakaways.
And then you arrive at the canal. Kind of drops you off, and you head off up this big winding path that kind of is set on top of a hill. It's a very fancy neighborhood, not the type of fake fancy that Lukan enjoys, but this is true wealth. You can tell, everything here is very much well cared for, well manicured. And you come up to this large house, and the address is on the front. and it looks, compared to all of the other buildings around, it definitely stands out because it is kind of, there's a dark wood, there's a tree off to the side that it looks permanently dead, that you almost wonder, like, why is it here if this house is so wealthy. And you can see a couple guards in kind of full black plate. They have the symbol for House Crestor on their shields, but they don't make any motion as you approach. They just kind of like glance between the five of you, and then they open up the door or open up the gate and let you in. Everybody go ahead and roll me a perception check. Let's just go ahead and see. Advantage to Bolt on this.
Okay. 12.
12?
13.
24.
Ooh.
19.
18-9. Ezra and Bolt, you both smell a little bit of a decay underneath this kind of like lilac smell that kind of permeates around these guards.
Does this remind you of the little portal area?
Oh, where we just were?
The Void Rift.
The Void Rift. Getting a bit of that smell.
Yeah, there is a bit of death smell in the air. I've kind of always had, and I'm going to say this like low so that people can't, you know, I'm not walking by the guards and being like, Lady Crester, you know. I've always kind of suspected that she might not be fully alive anymore. Perhaps some kind of undead creature of some sort.
A meat golem.
Well, it's possible. She has been ruling the house for over 150 years.
Is she an elf or
No,
a human?
she's human, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, she is, or perhaps was. I have no evidence to back this up, but
That seems odd.
the puzzle pieces kind of fit together. So.
Interesting. Well, I think
Yeah.
all will be revealed.
Up to the main doors, you knock a few times. The door opens, and this kind of massive, like it looks like the guards, but twice the size, opens up the door, and it just kind of looks you all over. And as soon as it sees Ezra, that's when it moves out of the way, and it kind of just waves a hand in, not formally, but just kind of like a, come on.
It just goes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you all walk inside, I'm assuming? Nobody? Yeah. Okay. Now, if I remember correctly, the plan is not candor. The plan is candor, not secrecy, right?
Yes.
I think we were originally thinking disguise you and such, but then we were
But
like...
then after everything...
and that was when you were still a wizard.
Yeah, but I mean, still the same things happen.
But you've
Right,
been...
but like you don't have the disguise self spell
And-
anymore, is what I'm
and
saying.
you're also
Well, I
not,
have a cloak and a mustache.
She's also not wanted
mustache.
anymore.
He has like those glasses
So-
with the huge nose.
you're also not like that reserved, like
Yeah,
stay back and
and honestly, with
I don't wanna
the
say chicken.
events that have happened, it doesn't really
Yeah.
make
It
sense
doesn't
to
feel like
hide
we have
anymore.
a need
Yeah.
for
Yeah. Well, you're no longer wanted either, so.
I think,
That's
and
true.
also we probably kind of figured like, you know, if they see through it, then it'll be worse
It'll be
for us
worse.
than just you know going in transparent.
Yeah, agreed.
So you kind of step into this massive foyer, or foyer if you prefer, that is kind of like marble tile floor, big like elaborate pillars and everything, a huge double staircase. And as you guys are just kind of looking around, examining this,
That's how you
very
know they're fancy to get the two staircases
Yeah.
going up.
this kind of
Based all that square
very
footage.
expansive house. Everything looks very well put together compared to the outside, which almost looks like it was going for a decrepit setting, but not quite like. But it wasn't like trying to like full on lean into abandonment.
Strahd in his prime.
Oh, the rot
Yeah.
was just painted on. Got it.
Exactly. You hear this kind of scuttling of a bunch of little tiny spindly legs, and coming around down one of the staircase is this treasure chest, and it comes around the corner and it skids to a stop, and as it does, it like opens up its jaws and its tongue kind of like waggles out and kind of starts like sniffing the air almost with the tongue, and then like 3 or 4 eyes open up on this mimic, and you hear proceed away, There's an audible squeak from Victor. Yes. And at the call up the stairs, Percy runs to the corner and then just kind of becomes a treasure chest again. And she goes, "Please forgive my pet. He's excitable." And you all kind of turn and you see one of the most gorgeous women that you've ever seen coming down the stairs. Porcelain skin, probably a little too pale, but she pulls it off really well. She's wearing a very elegant orange and black dress. Primary color orange, but less so than the black. She's got a set of ruby earrings. She's got a ruby ring on, and her eyes are kind of this vibrant yellow. Well, no, we'll say she has blue eyes. That seems better. Yeah, she's got just kind of regular, kind of lighter blue, but blue eyes, and then her hair is kind of done in this beautiful bob, and it is like silver with like streaks of black in it. And she's tall. She's like 7'2". Yeah. And she comes descending the stairs and she goes,
She's taller than Bolt.
yeah. And she goes, "Please forgive my making you wait. I understand how hard it is to have to sit around and wait for the employer to get to you, but there are certain things that I needed to accomplish in the past few days, so I apologize for my delay."
That's quite all right. I'm Eve.
Nice to meet you. You're Lukan's girl.
Yes, I work with Lukan.
And your friends?
We have Seredan, Fallowshield, Victor, Odanta, Ezra. I'm sure you...
Yes, I'm very excited to meet Ezra.
And Bolt.
Nice to meet you as well. I am Lady Belana Crestor. I hope that your journey here wasn't too rough, and I do thank you for coming.
Belana.
If you know anyone from the Greenwood house, tell them they're doing a crap job.
I will. Shall we adjourn to the study?
I will.
She's got this little smirk on her face like, I can't wait to tell somebody in the Greenwood house that some random person thinks they're doing a crap job. Yeah.
We saved probably 2 villages worth of travelers on our way here from Six Hills.
Well, quite the heroes indeed. That's good, and that will serve you well.
Thank you, lady.
Do you require any refreshments or anything?
Do you have any... What was the name of that winery again?
Chateau Marlene.
Do you have any Chateau Marlene, perchance?
I might be able to procure some. And she kind of tilts her head off to the side a little bit, and you can see her eyes kind of flash with this sort of orange color that kind of seems to be the house magic color. And then she blinks and she says, "It should be on its way shortly. Please have a seat." And she'll sit down in one of the chairs that looks built for a larger woman such as her. And it looks like very much like she makes her way for that and gives anybody a sidelong look that goes to like move to that chair. But it's more of a like you're trying to sit before the lady of the house does. Okay, all right, sure. When she sits down, she says, "Ezra, would you please come to the center for me?"
Yes. I will walk to the center.
Okay. And
Skeptically.
yeah, she actually asks you, "Could I get a full look at you, please?"
I mean, do you want me to take on
Just turning should be fine.
All right. I'll turn. I'm scared. I'm looking at Eve like, what the?
Sorry.
Interesting.
We'll eat cheese after.
It seems as if they couldn't quite clear out all of the magical ability from you. You can have a seat. Thank you. You should do.
What? I'll sit down, but I have questions.
I'm sure you have questions. Please.
What, first of all?
You are familiar with the Infinite Sight. Unfortunately, so am I. Intimately familiar with them. I used to be a member.
Is that why your house crest is the hourglass?
Yes, it's sort of slight against them in the recent years. I was a member back before Terrebaun even existed, even was formalized as a full state. And they thought that my methods were too tame for their organization. So they tried to cut me out, as it were. But you don't go around learning chronomancy without learning a few tricks. And unfortunately, they weren't able to completely erase my past, as they did yours.
What do you mean?
None of you had probably realized it other than passing feelings at this point, but Ezra here is different than the Ezra that you all met.
No, he's wait.
I can say that something felt off after we left our encounter with the Infinite Sight, but just chalked it up to strange
Still feel
people.
like myself.
He still looks like Ezra.
And she kind of whistles, and Percy comes running into the room and kind of like slams into the side and opens up his like gaping maw, and she like reaches down into it and pulls out a small book, and she hands it to you, and she goes, "From my private collection."
Okay.
And you, as you open it up, the first page says, contacted from Lukan on the date basically of the festival. Wizard in Six Hills has the book. And then there are a few other entries past that of like other contacts from Lukan that describe you as a wizard specifically, that Eve kind of did correspondence-wise. And then all of a sudden it changes to a new contact from Lukan. Ezra no longer has the book, no longer a wizard. Time ritual from Thulian.
This is heresy. It's made up.
It's hard to accept your truth. For me, it was very difficult as well. But my time vault doesn't lie. And she grabs the book again and she shoves it back into Percy's mouth and has him run off.
So wait, you're saying Jar Jar here used to be a wizard, not a fighter?
No.
That is exactly correct.
What?
I will admit that ever since that little run-in with those bastards, something has been tickling the back of my brain.
Revenge.
Well, yes, perhaps it was just that. But no, actually, that's very much at the forefront of my brain. This was at the back. And it was just a tickle. But I couldn't quite put my finger on it.
Kind of like when your
Like when you
ponytail is
tickle-
a little too tight.
Tickle the album.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
When-
have felt that same thing. Sorry.
When you basically killed me with your explodey arrow, that felt a little more like that tickle was being scratched.
It was different.
Right,
It
we
was
went
an
over this.
accident. I didn't mean it. Just blew up with orange magic.
Right.
That did seem kind of odd.
At this point, a waiter of sorts comes in. It is a full suit of armor that you can't see anything inside of, and it holds out a tray with like a bunch of glasses and an open bottle of Chateau Morlaine that is kind of shifting between different colors. And she nods, and it pours some for each of you and hands it out. And again, like the wine in the glass just shifts colors every couple seconds and shifts tastes along with it. But it's all very tasty wine.
So
I drink it with gusto.
you've mentioned chronomancy,
Yes,
which the Arcanum has deemed as highly illegal.
indeed. So
And
the
you-
Infinite Sight is a dangerous organization.
But you also said that you learned a thing or two about chronomancy.
I may have.
You also mentioned a time vault. What?
Yes, when I learned that your past could be rewritten and things changed with your life, I created a vault of sorts that keeps a detailed journal and record of my true past, so that when things do change, I can access that and find out what I've missed.
It's just like an old TV with a VHS tape. It's like, if you're watching this,
Yeah.
your past has changed.
Yeah.
But I still don't understand. How did my father get mixed up in this, and then therefore myself?
Trevin is a sweet man, but he often got into things that he wasn't supposed to.
You know my father?
Yes, him and your mother used to work for the Infinite Sight.
What?
Oh,
Dude.
yes, okay.
Your mother was very adamant about fulfilling a sort of prophecy that had been foreseen, and your father was along for the ride.
Ezra's never met his mother.
Really?
I mean, when I was a baby, but I don't remember any of it.
It's not surprising. She's elusive.
Is she still a member?
I'm not exactly sure. I can't see her
Is she
anymore.
alive? Double dun dun dun.
So, let me back up a minute. You said that before, they didn't approve of your methods?
Correct.
Methods of doing what exactly?
They believed that my ideas of controlling through subtlety were a bit too mundane as far as the Infinite Sight goes. They have grander plans, and unfortunately that oaf Thulian got his claws into the rest of the council, and they banished me. Now that he has the book, he has everything that he needs to enact grander and grander schemes.
Is it the only copy of this book? Is there more of them that we need to worry about? Or-
There is just the one book.
Okay.
Oh, and what does it do exactly? And what do you suppose the Infinite Sight's plans are?
It holds the secrets to many different abilities of time magic.
Mm-hmm.
I could hear that. In your, I could hear that some consider to be unnatural in your head.
Consider to be.
Ezra, when he looked at the book, he couldn't even read it, right?
I mean, just my father's notes and journal entries, but the rest of it was...
It might be those journal entries that the Infinite Sight is after as well. Trevin was a accomplished delver, I guess is the easiest way to word it. Grave robber, if you wish to see the term. But he knew about the different dungeons and areas of interest.
Yeah, which is why he forced me to go to school. He didn't want that life for me. Joke's on him, because here I am in the thick of it all.
Well, and so you're trying to stop them, I assume?
Yes, I have no love for the Infinite Sight, and I wish to see them destroyed. Mostly because they wish to see me destroyed.
Do you know where Trevin is now? Wouldn't it be easier to have him?
Unfortunately, I do not. They have ways of blocking me, such as I have ways of blocking them. It's sort of a stalemate, and I go through intermediaries like Lukan and yourself in order to accomplish my individual tasks. Lukan is currently searching for Thulian in the book, but I was hoping that I might have your aid as well.
Where did this book come from? Did Trevin, or did Trevin write it? Or?
The book was around, we believe, before even the Infinite Sight was formed. It was found by the original members and deemed to be a holy artifact. That's where we learned all of time magic from.
And why did Trevin have it?
Trevin stole the book after a specific disagreement with the Infinite Sight over Ezra, actually.
What did they want with Ezra?
Well, I did tell you that Ezra's mother was searching for a specific prophecy.
Right. What was this prophecy?
No, this is not right.
Ezra, I understand what you're going through. I went through the same thing when I first had my past changed, but your future is still set in stone.
That's the one thing I have control over, is my future.
It's an optimistic view.
So, Ezra is somehow part of this prophecy.
Yes.
How so?
Well, he is the catalyst of change, as it were.
Fancy title.
Your helmet. Do you have a gun?
Put it in the book.
No, I have the helmet. Oh, okay.
And his mother sought to... She knew this. Help me understand.
Of course.
What is your mother's name?
I don't even know. Do I know?
No.
I don't know.
Yeah.
My father just told me good stories about her and wished that I would think of her in a good light. Some days I did, and most days I hated her.
I understand that sentiment considering what she was for you. Unfortunately, her and Trevin created Ezra is a fancy way of saying it, but the usual methods. And Ezra was specifically created because your mother was looking for that catalyst. Unfortunately, when Trevin found out that you were the catalyst, he decided to break away from the Infinite Sight altogether. He stole the book, he stole you away, and you disappeared off the grid, as it were.
And he wanted to protect you.
Indeed.
And what is this catalyst supposed to do?
You are supposed to bring about... I suppose the end of days might be the easiest way to say it.
Great.
The end of Aneria as we know it.
No, I'm not a catalyst.
And why would...
My father is wrong.
Why would his mother want that?
His mother believed that that was the only way to save her people. Unfortunately, her village is... There's issues there. I'm not sure too beyond that, but she was adamant that the prophecy was the only way to save her people.
Where did she come from?
I'm not sure. She kept things very close to herself.
She was an elf. I know that much. Maybe one of the courts.
Well?
Is there a court that's in mortal danger of perishing?
Not that I know of.
Secret court.
Other than perhaps the Fall Court, if Terrebaun continues their war.
How...
Well, you've got the wrong guy. I'm not a catalyst. I'm just Ezra.
You'll come around eventually. But until then, I do wish to extend an offer of employment.
Do we get to fight the Infinite Sight?
Eventually, yes. Once I have a firm location and grasp of their plans, I will send you. My needs for you are a little more immediate and a little more local. But they do still involve my enemies.
Well, we'd be interested in hearing what you have to offer.
Of course. You are aware of House Greenwood. She specifically does look at Sari. And she says, your concerns about the long road are not unfounded. And Greenwood has been acting strangely as of late. I was just certain that they were making a big push in the upcoming reorganization rather than anything too nefarious. But the other day, I was speaking with one of their noblemen, and I detected the faint aura of chronomancy around them. Something is going on, and I believe the Infinite Sight are involved. However, I can't just go to the Arcanum and say that I found chronomancy. They'll start asking questions. So I need somebody who can take care of the matter.
I'm assuming discreetly.
Yes.
I hate to tell you this, but the last run-in we had with the Infinite Sight did not end
pretty
well.
loud.
We got
Well,
our butts kicked.
You're stronger now. But
We
if you
are.
do not wish to accept the challenge, that is
No,
completely fine.
we accept. Or I accept. You can come with if you guys want.
What are the terms? We snuff out this threat, and what's the payment?
Of course. There is a 10 gold per day retainer to be a part of my employ. And of course,
Per person?
yes.
Okay.
And of course, you will be compensated for a successful mission. And she's going to go ahead and kind of rattle off a number that I'll tell you about in a little bit here. But basically, what's going to happen is she's offering to be your patron, the party's patron, if you guys want to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We hate the Infinite Sight.
And I have a bone to pick with Greenwood. I've been wanting to speak my mind to them for a while.
Yes, double whammy. We're in.
Again, discretion is advised.
Sorry, just kicks down the door.
House Greenwood!
What exactly do you want us to do? Simply investigate at this point, discover information?
Yes, investigate the Infinite Sight's presence here, or whatever presence
In-house Greenwood.
It might be happening within House Greenwood, and eliminate the threat if it is available.
Where would you suggest we start?
House Greenwood. Any of the local buildings might give you a specific location. You might want to look for a specific noble son by the name of Braff Greenwood.
Braff Greenwood.
Yes.
Do you have his address?
I can give you the address if you wish. Or his usual haunts, considering that he lives in the House of Greenwood.
I've got an idea. Eve, how do you feel about cozying up to a lord at a bar or something? Tavern.
Why not?
I can
Sarah
try.
bristles a little bit.
The honeypot plan.
Might need to wear something a little different, but I can try.
Now, as far as any expenses such as that goes, you can charge that to the house. Just be sure to keep a record and try and not spend too much of my money.
Don't worry, I'm very good at keeping records.
And as she's like rattling all the stuff up, I'm like writing it on the piece of paper.
And then she will actually have another one of these animated suits of armor comes in, and it sets out another silver tray down. But this one has 5 badges on it. These kind of metal badges that show the house Crestor's crest. So you can take it if you'd like. And she says these should allow you to skirt around most situations that the Arcana would bring you in for, just because my house has a lot of pull around Terrebaun and the surrounding area.
I'll take one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same.
I'll take one. So yeah.
Well,
Probably like keep it inside my cloak, so then I can do the whole like from house, whatever crest or.
Yeah.
Is it best if we communicate with you through my communication ring?
Yes, if please. And she'll take it and she'll just kind of hold it in her hand a moment and then open it back up, and it has a new little the symbol of House Crestor on it.
Excellent.
Please use that sparingly, of course. I am a very busy noblewoman.
One last caveat to the agreement. I'm not a pawn in anybody's game.
Of course.
All right.
Victor has a contract. If we could all sign it. He's very much about the contracts.
And she'll take it and she'll read it over, like she'll thoroughly read it over while you guys have another glass of
Because she's
All the
she's a
T's
big
and
noble. He's
C's.
very eager. He's stamped it with his. Like, please.
yeah, and she will make a few adjustments to it magically and show you the adjustments that she made to make sure that everything's fine. And then what she'll do is she'll sign it, and then she will kind of place a finger at the top, and it glows with kind of an orange aura to show that it is a magically binding contract as well.
Ooh.
I put that one in the center box, the special like reserved for the best of best bounties.
Perfect.
any suggestions on where we might find Braff currently?
I'm afraid that I don't have an extensive information network myself.
Right. Well,
We can do that for you.
Good. Report back when you can, and as far as everything else is concerned, you no longer work for Lukan, you work for me.
damn straight.
And as she says that, it's like a visible weight has been lifted from Eve's shoulders.
Just how does he think he's going to get that book back from them, by the way? He seemed very sure of himself as he was leaving.
You're asking me a lot of questions about other people.
I'm an inquisitive person, I'm sorry.
Miss Fellowshield.
Miss Fellowshield asks a lot of questions to the wrong people a lot of the time.
I can see that discretion might be the hope rather than the norm.
No, we magically bound ourselves to this deal. We'll be discreet.
Of course. Well, Percy will show you out, and the treasure chest next to her springs up legs and starts like skittering away.
Man, I still want to ask her, how the hell are you still alive?
Chronomancy, obviously.
Don't do it.
Have you met someone named Percy?
Okay, yeah, you guys are leaving, I assume?
Yeah.
Drinks
Yes.
the
Let's go.
blood. Drinks the blood of a mimic, and can keep herself young.
Yep, she just looks young because she can shapeshift. No, so you guys leave House Crestor. Percy opens up the door with his tongue, lets you out, and then slams it closed. And yeah, you guys now have a patron.
Awesome.
Cool.
That little guy gave me the creeps.
So
I actually think that is where we're going to call it tonight. I know it's a little early. We haven't had combat, so sorry for the people at home. But I think that is a good stopping point for the episode. I'm going to go ahead and say 500 experience points for everybody for wonderful roleplay, inspiration for Bolt and for Eve tonight. That was wonderful, and Ezra actually. I did like Ezra's utter denial of his past. I thought that was brilliant. So.
Can we keep these till next
Yes,
time?
if you have a luck die, mark it down, just because we didn't have too many rolling opportunities tonight. But yeah.
Okay.
Wunderbar.
This is the episode of reveals.
Yeah, it was a exposition-heavy episode, which means hopefully next time we'll have a good combat-heavy episode, maybe, perhaps, who knows. Depends on how you guys handle House Greenwood.
How discreet we are.
Yep, how discreet you are.
And if whatever the guy
very.
we saved last time shows up and messes with our plan.
Okay, alrighty. Thank you everybody so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Leave a comment. I definitely want to know what you guys think of Lady Crestor's specific method of immortality is, and I actually do want to think of what you guys think of an episode without combat. That's something that I'm curious about. Do we need to have a combat each time, or do you guys? I know that you guys want a combat each time, especially over here. But I definitely want to. I definitely want to know what your thoughts are on that. So,
Is she a lich?
yeah. Is she a lich? Is she something else? I know, but you don't.
An immortal.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See ya.